Okay. All right, so we're doing parallel and perpendicular lines. You know what parallel are?
No.
Yes.
Oh, yeah. It's like this, and then perpendicular intersect at no right angle. Somebody said right angle. So we have to identify them and then write equations. Identify and write equations. Okay, parallel lines are in the same plane, and they don't have any points in common. They do not intersect. And what do you notice about the slope?
It's the same.
And what do you notice about the y-intercept?
It's
different. Okay. All right. So these are non-vertical or horizontal lines. They're parallel if they have the same slope. There's nothing to write down yet. But look at these. These are vertical lines. X equal -2 and x equal 4. They're parallel because they have the same slope. What's the slope?
Zero. Undefined.
Undefined. So that slope is undefined, so they're also parallel. What about y equals?
0.
Would they be parallel?
Yes.
Yes. All right. First problem. We have to identify which lines are parallel. Okay, so after you've written all those down, we're going to find the slope of each one. So what is the slope of that first problem? 2. Okay, this one, can you see the slope of this one? That is -2/3. Can you see the slope of this one?
2.
I can't see the slope because it's not solved for y. So I have to solve for y on this one before I can find the slope. Okay, so that's going to be -2x from each side. 3y equal -2x plus 8. Divide everybody by 3. And my slope is -2/3. And this last one, I don't feel like I need to solve in slope-intercept form because I can see the slope. What is it?
3.
3. Whoop. Okay, so do you see some that are parallel?
Yes.
These two middle lines are parallel. And so you could say 2 and 3 are parallel. Oh, in fact, line 2 is parallel to line 3. So that symbol right there is parallel. Example 2. Pause this, write it down, and determine which lines are parallel. All right, so the first slope is 3/4. 3/4. The second slope, if I solve, I've got to add 3x. That gives me 4y equals 3x plus 32. Divide everybody by 4. And it's y equals 3/4 x plus 8. Now we have a problem here. Remember the beginning of the video I said what's the slope and y'all said they were the same? And I said what's the y-intercept and y'all said they were different. What's the problem
But
here?
it's the same as
That's
the
an
first
8
one.
and that's an 8. Can two lines be parallel if they're the same line? No. So that's the tricky thing on that one. These two are not parallel even though they look like they are. So watch for that, okay? And then the last two, this slope is 3. This slope is 3.
That's right.
So lines 3 and 4 are parallel. That make sense? Okay, now we're going to do, hold on, go. Perpendicular lines are lines that intersect to form right angles. You've heard of a right triangle, they have a right angle. Okay, perpendicular slopes, write this down, are opposite reciprocal. Perpendicular lines have opposite reciprocal. You know what opposite means, right? Like one's positive, one's negative. Reciprocal means you got to flip the fraction upside down. Okay, so let's just practice. 1/7. What's the opposite reciprocal? -7. You could say -7/1. Okay, you have to do the opposite. This is positive, so you make it negative. This is 1/7, so you do 7/1. Okay, now how about -2/3? Opposite would be positive.
3/2.
Reciprocal is 3/2. Okay, last one, 5. The opposite reciprocal.
Is 1/5 negative 1/5.
Positive, you do the opposite as negative, flip it 1/5. Any problems with that?
No.
We're just practicing. Okay, now, two non-vertical lines are perpendicular if the product of their slopes is -1. That means opposite reciprocal. You're good with that. Look at these two. This is y equal 3, and this is x equal 2. So what can you say about vertical and horizontal lines?
They intersect.
At what?
Right angle.
Right angle. Intersect at a right angle. Okay, you're doing good. All right, now we have to see which of these are going to be perpendicular. There's a graph there. You can graph it if you like, or you can just look at the slopes. Okay, so let's go through these. What is the slope of that one?
2.
Nope. It's an x equals. X equals means it's an XUV. What's the slope? What's the U stand for? Undefined. X equals goes like this. You have to memorize that.
Wait, what is V?
V is vertical, so it's x equals undefined vertical line. So this slope is undefined. That means it's going to be a vertical line. Okay, are any of these others horizontal lines, which means it's a y equals but doesn't have an x? I don't see any, so I don't think any of these are going to be perpendicular. How about this guy? What's his slope? 3. What's this slope?
1/3.
Negative 1/3. How about those guys? They're opposites, they're flipped, they're reciprocal, so these two are perpendicular. Yeah. Whoops, I missed this little guy right here. These two are going to be perpendicular to each other as well. Okay, so we good? This is a y equals, which means it's a horizontal line with a slope of what? 0. This is a vertical line with a slope that's undefined, and those are perpendicular. All right, we're going to keep going. Oh. Pause it. Okay, what I need you to write down now is the slope. You need a slope and a point. So we're going to write down an m equals and a point. Okay. My slope, I have to write an equation in slope-intercept form, but before I go to slope-intercept form, I have to do point slope. So I have to do point slope. It's through this point, 410, so I'm going to write down my 410, and it's parallel to this one. So what's the slope of that? 3. If the slope is 3, and I want to make it parallel, then what's the slope I'm going to use? 3. All right, now you're exactly back to the test you took yesterday. So you have to go y minus what? 10 equals 3 x minus 4. All right, take off and finish. Then you put it in slope-intercept form. And you're done. All right, so example 5, last one. We need a point and a slope. I have to pick out what my slope is and what my point is. Okay, so my point, I can see it's 2, -1. And it has to be perpendicular to this.
So -1.
So if my slope is 2, the perpendicular is the opposite reciprocal, which is going to be -1/2. And again, you just have to write the equation of the line. Doesn't seem so bad, does it? Okay. So y minus -1, negative. Take off, do your thing. X plus 1. Oh my goodness, looks like we have a little bit of direct variation going on here. Because the ones cancel. Did you get negative 1/2 x?
Yes.
We're done. All right, y'all say bye.
Bye.